Empoweryou Podcast is devoted to bringing real-world wisdom and encouragement to our listeners, fans, subscribers, and friends. We talk about a multitude of life principles and the process from an economic, societal, and cultural perspective. We believe that in tough conversations and shared wisdom, we can pave the path and leave a ladder for the future. So subscribe to our channel, rate, review, and let us empower you. Welcome to Empoweryou Podcast. My name is Kidboy Cooper, and I'm so glad that you're here. I hope you're doing okay today. I hope you're enjoying yourself and having a good day. This episode is really just to reacquaint myself a little bit with everybody. 2022 has been an incredible year. A year of a lot of challenges and a lot of adversity, a lot of change. And I'm really, really grateful for it all. And at this point right now, I'm in a really, really good place, you know? And I think sometimes the best places to be in are places where you feel challenged, but then also places where you feel yourself growing and developing. So currently, I live in Colorado. I'm a podcast producer for Colorado Public Radio, which has been really, really good. And I'm really grateful to be surrounded by people who are super creative as I am, but then also in an environment that really empowers me to continue to grow. And I'm super, super grateful for that. Colorado Public Radio, for those of you who don't know, has a really successful podcast network, an award-winning podcast network for which I've been in heavy production for these last 4 months of 2022 for some shows that are coming out in January and then later in 2023. So I've been hitting the ground running really hard, doing a lot of mixing, a lot of writing, a lot of learning, a lot of slowing down and speeding up, a lot of development. I'm super grateful for all of those things. But before I go too far into it, I really would like to back up and talk about how we got here, right? So let's backtrack back to January of 2022. So in January of 2022, I was struggling. I really was. There were some things that I was going through. And although I was working hard and I was doing the things that I needed to do for myself, for my business, I was not working in a way that was sustainable for me, right? And I pushed myself really hard. But in this particular instance, there were just some things that were not working out. And so no matter how good things got and I was able to get more clients and different things happen that were good, it seemed like all the challenges I was having were always 3 steps ahead of me, which was really frustrating. And I began to only be able to enjoy myself and just actually just be happy in my own skin, feeling great about who I am. Very, very small glimpses of the time. And that was difficult. And those glimpses became few and far between. It became very unsustainable, and I could feel myself mentally and emotionally coming apart. And while I may have looked relatively successful to others, I really hadn't figured out my own flow. It wasn't that I wasn't helping people. It wasn't that I wasn't providing value. I believe it was because internally, I was not at peace with myself. I had not forgiven myself for ways in which I had made mistakes, right? I ended up getting an OWI or DUI for those who are wondering. And that really changed the way that I was operating and looking at myself. I began to absorb a lot of my own stress and frustration because I felt like I had added so many extra barriers, expense, and then also just heartache onto my journey. I wasn't sure how I was going to be able to pull it out, right? How I was going to be able to overcome those things. And so I was very ashamed of myself. It was a really complex emotion to be both thrilled to have gotten through something that you thought was going to break you. And thankfully, thank God, things really went well and they went my way. And they went that way because, God blessed. It went that way because just the right amount of things happened. It was for no greatness or goodness of my own. I was still pushing and making great progress in my business. I was traveling, all while, having my breathalyzer in my car, all while trying to hide the shame of showing up to work and having to, use your breathalyzer before you're able to drive somewhere or do anything, and then going back and forth to court and all the money. While it seemed like I was hurdling it, which I did, I was still carrying the shame of it. And at the end of January, a buddy reaches out and he's like, hey, I kind of need a favor, blah, blah, blah. I'll throw you some dollars for it. And it was a technology issue that was going on at an organization that he works with. And they were just having some problems. And so he was like, listen, I'm just going to call my buddy and see if he can fix it. It's technology. I'm pretty good with technology. I understood what was going on. I was able to help, right? That one engagement ends up turning into, 5 months of gainful employment with them on a contractual basis, where I was able to do more and more technology. And so over the course of that, other things began to happen. I started to put myself out in different ways. There was a podcast editor opportunity that my sister had sent me on LinkedIn. And so I pursued that and I started to feel really good, really positive. And then that was very short-lived. The individuals, they contacted me. We set up an interview by, March of 2022. The offer was off the table. It was pretty much dead in the water. I also submitted for a couple grants for my podcast and things like that. And everything was just falling through. It was really challenging. And then in mid-March, an organization reaches out to me and they said, hey, we have an opportunity we would love to talk to you about. And I was like, okay, sure. But I had really been in a hole at this point and I wasn't really checking my email as much. And so when I got back to him, it had been several days, and we set up an interview. And by June, Colorado Public Radio, which is the organization that reached out to me, probably around April, we had come to an agreement. April to mid-May, we started negotiations, and by the end of May, by mid-May, May 11th or so, we had reached an agreement, and so now I'm moving. At that time, I went ahead and started to move my life across the country to Colorado. And it was at that point where I realized not only was it going to take everything I had to give just to get everything moved over here, take care of financial things that were going on, and then also to create more space for myself, to be a podcaster, to be a producer, to be the next iteration of what Kip White is becoming. It was just going to take a lot. And so I dug deep, and me and my lady, we moved. And it was a big leap of faith, and it's been paying off. And so here I am, 4 months in, living here in Colorado, and I'm good. I'm grateful. It's been a challenging year. I'll tell you more and more about it as I document, as I get things together. But I just wanted to say thank you. Thank you for being there. Thank you for your listenership. Thank you for enjoying what I do with Empower You Podcast. We are nowhere near done, and we have a brand new series that is just like bubbling that I cannot wait to share with you all. And I hope that you'll go ahead and share it with other people as well as we prepare it. So be looking out for the next series from Empower You Podcast and some other different things that I've been working on as well. I feel my energy returning. I feel rejuvenated. I feel re-energized. I feel excited to share with you. And I just am so grateful that you all are here and willing to listen. And so this is just a really quick status update on what's going on with Empower You Podcast. I'm super grateful for you. I hope you've had a great holiday season and you're planning and claiming and writing down what you want to accomplish and how far you want to go in 2023. Okay, so be looking out for more content from Empower You Podcast. Go ahead and like, share, subscribe, drop me a rating, share with your friends. There will be a lot more stuff coming up, but I just wanted to come in and say, hey, say that I appreciate you and to tell you myself, Happy New Year. Okay. All right. So look, I'll talk to y'all a little bit later. Peace. Thanks for listening to Empower You Podcast. Don't forget to rate and review this episode because we would love to hear your takeaways from this discussion. And it helps us reach more listeners just like you. If you'd like daily audio video clips from the podcast, you can find Empower You Podcast on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Thanks for listening. I'll talk to you soon.